these things and for them to continue their commercial relationship.
Do you see any particular business sectors where late payments are more of an issue than in others, or is it pretty widespread across the board?
There are differences, although the differences are not as wide as you would think. Obviously, the more capital intensive, banking, finance, industrial companies, those companies where there's more capital involved in the business, there's more payments moving around, those are worse. The public sector, interestingly enough, is also not great at paying their payments. But ultimately, at the other end of the spectrum, you have companies that have a little bit more of an economic tailwind and also less capital intensity, hospitality, travel, leisure, etc., doing relatively better, but it's affected across the board. Ian.
All right, Andres, we've got to leave it there, I'm afraid. Good to see you again this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
France remains the top destination in Europe for foreign direct investment, with Britain in second place and Germany in third. Well, those are the findings of the Europe Attractiveness Report published this morning by the accounting and business services giant EY, which reveals that the three countries account for half of all inward investment projects in Europe. But it also reports that foreign direct investment into Europe stalled last year. It was up just 1% on 2021 and remained 7% lower than in 2019 before the pandemic struck. Well, joining me now is Julie Lynn Teagland. She's EY's area managing partner for Europe, the Middle East, India and Africa. Julie, good to see you this morning. Why has investment stalled, do you think?
You know, I think we've been expecting a huge bounce back on the back of COVID-19. We didn't see that happen. And let's be honest, the world around us has changed quite a bit. Ian, we've got a war in Ukraine going on. We have an energy crisis. Food prices are up. Inflation, as you've been reporting all morning, is up. It's an extremely difficult environment across Europe right now.
Looking at a country-by-country basis, I mean, it seems to me that France is pulling away from the UK and Germany. Why is France doing relatively well?
You know, France has invested over the past years in significant reforms, increasing the flexibility of their own labor markets, improving their tax positioning across the space, and that's made them a much more business-friendly environment on a relative scale. So France has done really well, and you see the impact of that coming through in FDI, not just this year, but also in the previous three.
What I did think was quite interesting, though, was that although France is attracting more individual projects than the UK, more jobs are created per project here in the UK than elsewhere.
Absolutely. And Ian, I think one thing that we should recognize, the UK has really been the leader when it comes to creating R&D jobs. Now, those are really high value creation in terms of FDI investment, attracting some really interesting industries. They've been leading the way on that, and that's important to remember.
But we can't get away from Brexit. I mean, you're quite clear in your report that Brexit is actually hurting the UK's position.
You know, I do think that Brexit has had an impact. I don't think it's been incredibly positive. It just, in light of the volatility and the changes we see across the world, and I mentioned a few of those a couple of seconds ago, Brexit just adds to the complexity when we're looking for an environment of free trade.
Do you think that's a temporary phenomenon? Do you think that the UK eventually, as it starts to sort of pull different levers from the EU, can recover that situation?
You know, I think as the UK really focuses on bettering their trade relationship, and some of the accession to the Trans-Pacific trade agreement are an indication of that, I do think there's an opportunity for the UK to smooth the waves and create better trade patterns, reducing those barriers and the bureaucracy that comes in between.
Now, one of the other little nuggets that jumped out at me is which countries are doing particularly well in terms of attracting investment. I mean, the yellow leader jersey here goes to Romania. Massive increase in investment projects.
Absolutely. And Ian, I think it's been a real phenomenon. You look at Southern Europe, I'm going to say Italy, Turkey, Romania, and you really see that supply chains across Europe are on the move. They are completely being redesigned, taking advantage of wage arbitrage, but equally taking advantage of really skilled labor across an umbrella of European consistency of law. That's attracted massive amounts of investment. Now, that's a good thing in my view. On the back of COVID, we expected a lot of supply chains to change. A lot more nearshoring and concepts like friendshoring have been invented. We see those impacts across Europe. I don't think that's the end of this journey. I think you're going to see more of that. And that's why I think you talk about what we just mentioned, UK being high on the scale of strong R&D, Southern Europe being high on the scale in terms of supply chain moving, take advantage of that wage arbitrage in skilled labor.
All right, Julie, we have to leave it there. It's a fascinating report. Thanks for discussing it with me today.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Well, a relief rally on Wall Street last night following another decline in US inflation was followed by a dull session overnight in the Asia-Pacific region. Most of the markets were largely flat amid concerns over deflationary pressures in China and a mixed bag of corporate updates from Japanese companies. Well, in Europe, stocks have rallied after a two-day losing streak. Here's the current picture. All of the main continental European indices are in positive territory right now. Again, it's a busy results day. Talking points include ING, the biggest bank in the Netherlands. It's ahead by some 4% in Amsterdam after its quarterly results came in better than expected. But the German drugs and biotech giant Bayer, its shares are off nearly 7% in Frankfurt, and that followed a downbeat trading update. Here in London, well, the FTSE 100 is also in positive territory. It's more or less flat, to be honest, looking at that. Consumer and healthcare stocks leading the way. Among the leading blue chip gainers right now is Haleon. That's the owner of Sensodyne toothpaste. The shares there nearly 2% to the good on positive broker comment. Another blue chip going higher this morning is the aerospace engineer Melrose. The shares up another 1.25% following yesterday's well-received trading update. On the downside, Airtel Africa, whose chief executive, you might recall, we had on the programme recently, well, its shares are down 3.5%. It's got results out this morning. As ever at this time of year, a number of stocks have gone ex-dividend. In other words, they're trading for the first time without rights to the latest payout. Those going ex-div today include HSBC, BP and Tesco. All of those adjusting lower to reflect the fact they've gone XD today. Outside the FTSE, well, First Group, look at that. I mentioned them a little earlier in the programme, off 5.25% after it lost the rights to operate the Trans-Pennine Express rail contract, while ASOS off another 4.5% after yesterday's rise in losses. It fell by 20% yesterday. On the foreign exchange markets, well, pretty much unchanged for the pound. That's off a third of 1% against the US dollar ahead of this lunchtime's rate decision. It's up nearly a sixth of 1%, though, against the euro, the single currency off 0.5% almost against the greenback. As for the oil price, well, that has clawed back some of yesterday's losses on news of a sharper than expected drop in US gasoline inventories. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $77.09 a barrel. That is up 0.9%. Joining me now is the head of investment at Interactive Investor, Victoria Scholar. Victoria, good to see you this morning. Let's start with some news that we got overnight in the US. We had quarterly results from Disney.
Yeah, that's right. And we saw that it largely met expectations on the top and bottom line, but its Disney Plus subscriber figure fell by 4 million, missing expectations, which is why the stock was off by almost 5% after hours. I think investors largely shrugged off a stronger performance in its theme parks, where we saw a jump in revenue for that division to $7.7 billion. But, last year was very tough for Disney, caught up in the so-called tech wreck when the whole of the US tech sector came under heavy selling pressure. But we have seen Disney enjoy a significant recovery. It's been doing a restructuring, including slashing 7,000 jobs. There's the return of Bob Iger as well as CEO after retiring less than a year ago. And of course, there's been that broader rebound in technology as well.
A lot of company news on this side of the Atlantic to grapple with this morning, Victoria. One that caught your eye was Wood Group.
Yes, that's right. Wood Group has been in focus lately because of this potential takeover from Apollo, the US private equity giant. But it reported first quarter revenues of $1.45 billion in the first quarter, rising year on year, but its order book actually slowed, and it's kept its full year outlook unchanged and highlighted the uncertain macroeconomic outlook. But like I say, the real focus for this company is as investors await this key deadline before which Apollo must decide whether or not it wants to make a formal offer for Wood Group. Apollo has also set its sights on THG, and we've seen a number of private equity firms setting their eyes on UK companies lately because of that discount in terms of valuations, with the FTSE underperforming the DAX or the CAC over the last 5 years, and also because of the weakness in sterling, which again makes UK targets more attractive. But we've seen sterling start to come back. It's back up at a 1-year high. So perhaps the time is ticking and we might see more of these PE offers come to the table quite soon.
Interesting. What about Rolls-Royce? I mean, a fairly reassuring trading update this morning, but it didn't really move the dial so far as the share price was concerned. I mean, is that because it's had a good run already, this stock?
Yeah, it's one of the best performing stocks on the FTSE 100 lately. It reaffirmed its guidance for the full year, but I think there's some disappointment that it didn't actually upgrade that guidance, given that there's been so much enthusiasm towards this stock lately with the new CEO and the rebound in international travel post-pandemic. This stock is up about 50% so far this year. Back some of those gains today. It's in the midst of a major transformation program, and although we have seen this major rally so far this year, the stock is still trading at less than half of its market cap back in 2018 before the pandemic. So there could be more upside, or at least there's a long way to go to try to reclaim those highs.
That is fascinating. I hadn't realised that. Victoria, good to see you this morning. Thank you. You always learn something on this programme, I hope. Still to come here on Ian King Live, I'm going to be speaking to the Chief Executive of Grainger, the UK's largest listed residential landlord. It's just published its half-year results. Don't go away.
Bodies have been pulled up out and are being used as missiles to hurl at these police. Made by people who dare to challenge. Nice to see you again, Mr. Barnier. Why? Meeting you. Fishing does have the potential to stymie an enormous economic deal. We take you to the heart of stories that shape our world. What strikes you when you come to this glacier is not just the way in which the environment is changing, but the speed at which those changes are happening.
Welcome back. Now, the number of homes available to rent in the UK has fallen by a third over the past 18 months, according to data recently published by the property website Zoopla. Well, one company in the forefront of attempts to remedy that is Grainger, which is the UK's largest listed residential landlord. This morning, the company, which owns and manages more than 9,000 rental homes across the UK, announced a 2% rise in adjusted earnings to £47.1 million for the 6 months to the end of March. Headline pre-tax profits, however, fell by 94% to £5.7 million due to valuation movements. Well, joining me now, I'm very pleased to say, is Helen Gordon. She's the Chief Executive of Grainger. Helen, welcome to you. A very quick word. I don't want to get too bogged down in the numbers, but what informed these valuation movements?
Well, we have seen an outward yield movement, and that's really come from a view on rising interest rates. Having said that, we offset that by strong rental growth, and that's new lettings and also rental growth, which we at Grainger normally align to wage inflation. So we've seen 6.8% rental growth, 12% rental growth overall, and that's very much aligned with wage inflation at the moment. So a good rental story, but obviously interest rates affecting valuations.
Yeah, you kind of preempted my next question. I was going to ask you what the approach was to rent increases. I mean, does it vary much from location to location as well, or is it a flat increase linked to wage inflation, as you say?
Well, Granger own and manage all our own properties, and we have a really strong customer relationship. So we understand customers' affordability. Our main customer demographic is in that 25 to 34 age group. They're spending about 29% of their income on rent. And so we're very much aligning it to their wage inflation. So we've seen good wage inflation coming through, and we've been aligning our rents towards that. So it's still very affordable for our customers, and we concentrate on that mid-market approach to renting.
What's the duration of a typical tenancy for you these days?
So we concentrate on customer retention, and our average tenant stays with us for just under 3 years. And when you think it's in that 25 to 34 age group, that's actually quite a good statistic.
Now, I think you're targeting something like 1,640 new homes this year. What sort of progress have you made to date?
Yeah, we've got 7 new large openings later this year, and that's going to really boost our income in 2024. But we've actually got a pipeline of 6,000 new homes. So it's, very, very strong pipeline when you compare it to our existing portfolio. And that pipeline is fully funded. That we've got around 3,500 homes on site at the moment. So that's, a really strong pipeline to come.
What are you seeing right now in terms of build costs?
Everything that's on site is our construction costs are fixed. That's our business model. But we are seeing construction inflation for our new schemes that are coming through. That is actually now softening.
Right, interesting. And what about planning permission? I mean, this is obviously a constant bugbear for the industry. Is that going to affect the timing of you delivering on the pipeline that you're aiming for?
We've been very successful at planning consents. I think, London, which is seen as being the hardest city, we've achieved nearly 2,000 planning consents, 2,000 homes in the last couple of years. But planning consents throughout the whole of the UK at their lowest level ever on record. So you're right to point out that planning is a challenge, but we tend to be developing in urban locations which are probably less sensitive than some of the sort of greenfield and suburban locations.
Now, build to rent has become quite a hot area in recent years. The likes of M&G and Legal & General are moving into this patch. Has that made life more difficult for you in terms of land acquisition?
No, our acquisition strategy is strong. A question I often get asked is, are people leaving the sector? And of course, it's proved incredibly resilient. And so there is a lot of appetite, not just from institutional players, but also sovereign wealth funds to own in the long term rented homes in the UK. And I think that's a really good thing for the UK economy, because having a good, well-financed private rented sector will see the end of poor, bad landlords, and I think that's good for the UK economy. It's good for mobility. It's good for levelling up. It's good for so many things. So I actually welcome the fact that we've got lots of people seeing this as a really good place to invest.
Obviously, rents are rising appreciably across the economy as a whole. People like Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, are talking about rent controls. What would that mean for your business?
Well, I think that this government, and I think also across all political parties, they know that the real problem on renting is the supply. And you started this piece by talking about the fall in supply of rented homes. So one of the things I would say is we've seen in Scotland that where they've introduced rent caps, it has actually led to a fall off in supply, a rising in rents, and a fall off of investment. So for me, I think that we across all of the mayors, they don't have the ability to bring it in, and I think it would be very wise for this government and any subsequent government to think about what that will do to the supply side as well. I think also it behoves us to be very responsible as landlords in terms of how we grow our rents as well.
Well, you couldn't have been more clear on that, Helen. We haven't had you on the programme for a while. It's good to see you again. Thanks for joining me.
Nice to see you, Ian.
Still to come here on Ian King Live. Digital services provider Naventic is the latest company looking to switch from London.
Money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohinia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is UK. Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and once again say welcome to the Starr Radio UK Thursday edition of the morning show. Today is the 11th day of May 2023 with the time now 10:42 from the hearts of London.
You are God. You will never change. You remain the same.
And I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
You are God.
But let me say good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki, my able producer, Mr. Francis Gaye. And then to the one and only Olakunle, good morning. Bishop Adesina, Pastor Momo. Felix all the way in Aberdeen, Kojo D. Anthony Adedeji, Aziz, Tassino, Samsudin, and all you wonderful people, Pastor Mo, Pastor Emmanuel Chidi, and all you wonderful people who join us and support us on this platform. We want to salute each and every one of you. Once again, say welcome to the program.
All of you makes my heart beat.
But let me say this way, all protocol observed wherever you might be this morning. I'll have you to be on board here. If you are sitting, sit down very comfortably, get yourself a hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate. If you are standing, hold on to something. It's just bumpy, but you rest assured of one thing that will get you to destination information. So wherever you are, just hold on. But share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. We are broadcasting live on all our social media platforms and on our own apps as well. And tune in as well. So go there, look for Starr Radio UK, and we'll pop up and then listen to it. Okie dokie do. Let's crack on. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast to follow suit, then the travel updates. We'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as global trotting. Then after that, we'll continue from there to have a look at some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. At 11 o'clock, we have Mr. Koiki joining in to bring you updates from Nigeria. And then the lines are opened at 12 o'clock. We continue from there. 12:30, we bring the curtains down for the end of the program. That's how it's going to be for you today. So wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't you go away. But I can assure you of one thing for sure, that the program will not be void of music. Carefully selected music will be brought your way as well.
And that's what makes you.
So let's crack on. The quote for the day says, one's ability to move in the face of past challenges will be influenced by their willingness to let go of the past. Don't hold on to the past. Oh, and then no, this person wronged me this way. No, it's holding you back. Let it go. Let it go. As a kids program, Frozen, the tune goes, let it go.
And that's what makes you free.
All right then.
You are love. You will never change. You remain the.
Straight on to the weather front. Well, yesterday the rains were coming down like no man's business, as if God has opened his windows to just decide to just chuck some water down. Or some of the angels had a shower and decided to turn their bath, take the cork out of the tap, and then it just started rushing down here. But well, let me tell you what is happening today. This afternoon we will continue unsettled with a mix of sunny spells, variable cloud, and scattered showers. Showers may turn heavy and thundery at times. Now this evening, the showers will gradually dissipate, allowing for late sunshine for many. Tonight will remain dry, but there will be large areas of low cloud that will spread in from the east. The temperature is going to be 18 degrees. The lowest is going to be 9 degrees, getting milder. Now, pollen level is going to be moderate, UV level low, pollution low, sunset 20:39, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 05:15 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. So let's take a quick commercial break, and once we come back, we continue with travel updates. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads, and keep you navigated. I promise our bond. The Starr Radio Travel Update that comes to every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:47. And what's your travels like this morning? Share with us. But here in London, yes, we got the underground lines, good service throughout there. London, the DLR and London Tramlink, good service there. But we have a minor delays on the London Overground. Minor delays between Stratford and Richmond, Clapham Junction, due to late running of freight train. Good service on the rest of the line though. I'm moving on straight to the major roads in London. We got serious delays on A1, Blackwall Tunnel, North Circular A406, and South Circular A205. They've all got serious delays. So if you can avoid it, do your best to avoid that. Now the river bus are surely good service throughout the London cable car, good service there as well. But now let's come to the final segment of the travel update, and that is the National Rail. So what's happening on the National Rail this morning? On the National Rail this morning, Avanti West Coast has got minor delays, cross country, minor delays, First Transparent Express, minor delays, Great Western Railway, severe delays, and ScotRail, minor delays there as well. And as you know that I will say, well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the road.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to TikTok. Few seconds to 10 minutes to the top of the hour. So that's now 10 minutes to 11, and it's now time for Global Trotting. So what are we going to be looking at today? Some of the stories that we're going to be looking at and bring your way. Well, coming on straight from Nigeria, where we'll be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing us those updates from there, and some of the issues we're going to be looking at. Why the federal government has approved contracts 18 days to hand over. A minister is trying to justify that, and trouble looms over rising debt. Budget office warns, and then the budget office of the federation has said Nigeria has now a limited borrowing space due to its poor debt to revenue ratio, stressing that trouble looms for the country if it exceeds its limits. Well, that can be said about Ghana. We've exceeded our limit, and then they are in all sorts there. But some other stories making the rounds there as well. Breaking coming through. Atiku storms presidential election petition tribunal. It's one of the stories. And IPOP threat. Lagos arraigns Eze Indigo of Ajao Estate for terrorism. And the EFCC quizzes detain ex-minister of power over 22 billion naira fraud, and the BVN doesn't expire. CBN reacts to scammers antics, and the court bars NBC from fining broadcast stations. Huriwa hails the verdict. Trouble looms over rising debt, as we talked about earlier on. The FEC approves 3.4 billion consultancy fee for second Abuja Airport runway project. Now, Adebayo says again, Peter Obi dragged over comments on the obedience. And then APC suspends Jimade Shija, and then EFCC naps Obago for defrauding U.S. citizen of 268,000. Kidnapping gunmen storm Plateau University, invade female hostel. Well, it was one of the stories that we were looking at yesterday. And Atiku has arrived for hearing of petition challenging Tinubu's victory. But as I said, are we going to see anything different from there? The Buhari-Tinubu alliance that trumped all competition. Well, they think that is that alliance that of course did. But what do you think about all that? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well. Now, Kenyan pastor accused of Shakahola massacre remains in custody, and Tunisia authorities open investigation into shooting attack at synagogue. And in Guinea, release of 3 civil society figures in prison for months. Okay, and then Darfur residents fear escalating conflicts between army and the RSF. Now, Kenyan court, Robert McCarthy says his brother is a good man. Now, DRC canoes become only means of transport in flood-stricken areas, and those are some of the stories making the rounds. And in Nigeria, 15 children drowned in a shipwreck, and the 25 are missing. Lots more going to be coming your way from there as we look at some of the stories in details. All coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, when it comes to Ghana, the GLC withdraws its recognition of 3 universities' law faculties. Which one is that? Okay, we'll be bringing you more on that. A court agrees to listen to NDC on need to hear injunction application before Monday, Amaliba is saying. But the issue is with one of the running mates for the flag bearer ship, Dr. Dufo, going to the court to seek injunction, interlocutory injunction on the forthcoming internal election. What do you think is going to happen? Are they going to go on, or well, they'll have to? Now, people are planned. It's not here where we can just say, okay, I'm going to go and then push, and then we are gone. I want to go to Europe, push, and then I'm gone. I can just hop on. Now, though, there are a few changes there, but the issue is people have planned to travel to that place. I bet the vicinity where the elections were supposed to take place, the internal elections supposed to take place, where all have been arraigned and stuff like that. But what do you think is going to happen there? More going to be coming your way. It is Starr Radio UK. Now, Otumfuo said Kufuor gave his legs for this country. That is what Otumfuo is saying. What do you think? NDC primaries, NDC yet to submit voters register to EC. Dr. Srebwo Kwaku is saying. So what exactly has happened there? Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Labour agitation, NLC orders Juza government to resolve salary dispute within 2 weeks. There are some stories making the rounds there. Now moving on straight to other parts of the world as well. Okay, Nigeria separatist leader acquitted of terrorism charges, but is still being held. Nnamdi Kanu supposed to go to the courts. I think they have a hearing today. We'll be telling you more. Was it yesterday? But we'll tell you more about what transpired or what is about to transpire. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. Now, when moving on to other stories, Zelensky, he said we must wait before starting offensive. Ukraine's president says in an interview his country will lose a lot of people if it attacks now. Why is he saying that? Are they ill prepared for the onslaught if they decide to embark on it? And Texas braces for West as migrant rule change looms. Title 42, which makes it easier to expel migrants from the U.S. expires at the end of Thursday. Is the presidency going to change what it's supposed to be quickly, or having the courts do so to reduce the influx of migrants coming, illegal migrants, that's what they call them, coming into the country? Now, Israeli strike kills top rocket commander in Gaza. Militants fire mortars into Israel after Islamic Jihad rocket launching force chief is killed. And Finnish Prime Minister to divorce as she prepares to leave office. What is happening? Outgoing Prime Minister Sanna Marin says she is still best friends with her husband. What has caused that? Now, Trump will most likely pardon most January 6 rioters. The former U.S. president participated in the CNN town hall with Republican voters in New Hampshire. But he's the one who doesn't like CNN. So how come that CNN did a town hall meeting and then he decided to appear? Well, but it's most likely, definitely, if he wins the election, he will pardon all of them. He will pardon all of them, for sure. I can tell you that. He uses presidential powers to do so. A U.S. mommy blogger, Heather Armstrong, dead at 47. She found success documenting the ups and downs of motherhood on her Do's blog. What killed her? Well, we'll tell you more about all those in a moment. But Star Radio UK. Now, in the UK, Transparent Express strip of contract over poor service. The government will now run the service after months of delays and cancellations. Well. The Prime Minister broke his word over Brexit laws, says Rees-Mogg. The government decision to drop deadline to scrap EU laws sparks a row in the Conservative Party. Well, from King James. Now they are still on the part that, you know what, we still have to go on looking and seeing what is happening here in the UK at the moment, where you look at some of the, especially the hospitality industry and then the health industry as well, and the lack and everything that seems to be going on. Some of them are still of the view that we still have to bring in the, some I bet you some are regretting the fact that we went out or came out of the EU, to voted to get out of the EU. But some are saying, yeah, let's go on. Well. Rees-Mogg is saying that what is the rancor or issues going on in the Conservative Party? We'll tell you more about that. Blight Similar leader quits after damning report. Adam Price quits after a review found misogyny, harassment, and bullying in his party. Oh my goodness. And then ministers to ditch deadline to scrap EU laws, as I've spoken about that, and that is what Rees-Mogg is upset about, that because they are the ones, were the ones advocating for us to leave. Okay, a woman has been injured after a royal police escort crash. A police motorcycle was escorting Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, when the crash happened, the police has said. Lots more going to be coming your way from there. It is all coming away from Star Radio UK. A boy has been charged with murder after stabbing near tube station. Alright, so don't touch the dial. Keep on listening and enjoying. Let me bring you this song. It's one that I just chanced on this morning, and it's from Joe Metal. So enjoy it, and I'll be with you. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High God shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So yes, you are listening to Star Radio UK. You are abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. What about that? Enjoy that music. It's from Joe Metal featuring Koiki. It says, "Met down, I will lean on you." show me the way. Direct my path. I lean on you. Say that music from Joe Metal featuring the one and only Koiki there. But it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, with the time now exactly 6 minutes past the top of the hour. And you know for sure at this juncture we'll have the one and only, the white lion himself, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, joining in. And let me say massive good morning to you, Yummy.
Well, good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to all our listeners, and welcome once again to the 11th day of May 2023, 6 minutes past 11 a.m. on the Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, as we go into some of the news headlines coming out of Nigeria again this Thursday. And I say good morning to all those that have joined us on the sister broadcast that are listening on the other side.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and we're going to be looking at what is happening in Nigeria, and we want you to be part of it. So share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones, and invite them to like our pages as well. How are you doing, and how is the family?
Well, it's a little bit windy outside. The family is good, just as we always say. We are grateful that we are here where the family is good, but on the other side, we are always concerned because of the family and not having the same opportunity. But they say life is never balanced, but I'm sure, like we always say, if Nigeria was as balanced as we wanted it, so many of us would have taken the family back. But for now, the family are here and they're doing very well, and they've all gone to school as usual.
Okay, we thank the Most High. All right, then. Now let's move on straight to some of the issues that we're going to be looking at. But that would be after just a sneak view for those of you, a teaser there, those of you who missed out on the Niger Voices yesterday. I mean, a quick one on what was discussed and comments that people made. Over to you, sir.
Well, Niger Voices is a program that comes on air every Wednesday on the Starr Radio UK network, where we look at the current affairs, the issues affecting Nigerians back home, and likewise the diaspora as well. So yesterday was broken into different layers. We talked about the petition, which we're going to be discussing again this morning, because already I could see Atiku Abubakar already, in the court. That literally means that, maybe Tinubu is going to come in. We don't know yet, but we know that Tinubu is out of the country. So we're going to come back to that. So we went into what is the full meaning of petition. And I took our listeners back to 2020 November, when the military killed as many Nigerians during the NSAS that happened at Lekki Toge. There was a petition against the Nigerian government here. And as we know, in UK, if a petition is about 100,000, that would then definitely have what we call a sitting. Well, there was a sitting, but whether the outcome has favored those that were affected or Nigerians that put the petition here in UK, I cannot say. But what we do know that is a petition is always a way, to ask for a review of something. So that was discussed for about almost an hour. And then the question is, if the petition goes the other way around, is Bola Tinubu, the president-elect, going to be satisfied, or are we going to see Atiku satisfied should the petition go the other way around? And for those that are listening to us again, these are the judges that that will be making that decision at the appropriate time. Then we went into Biafra. We talked about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, where the UK have now allowed an appeal on the case of Nnamdi Kanu. This is going to come up right here in UK on the 22nd of June, which is about a month from now. What does that mean? We went back to understand why the UK lawyers have argued that the British High Commission or the FCDO, which is the Foreign and Commonwealth Development, could not do as much when Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped rendition back from Nigeria. And it is not the first time that the British citizen have been held, because there was a particular case with Abbas versus the FCDO in 2002, when he was held as a British citizen in Guantanamo Bay. And that case was whether the FCDO should have done something or give reason for not doing that. So we discussed that at length for about half an hour. Then we went into the Yoruba Nation conversation as well, where we continue to review and ask questions. What could be the reason why Chief Dr. Sunday Igboho is still somebody in that the government of Nigeria wants, even though he has left Nigeria for almost a year now? And likewise, as we know, all other issues surrounding the Yoruba Nation struggle as well. Then we went into the headline coming out of Nigeria, and like we always say, it was a full pack 2.5 hours. You can watch that on the Star Radio UK network. And this program has been coming up since 2017, and we continue to give all the news, headline, and everything contained on a Wednesday. So if you have not joined us before, maybe you want to join us next week, because on the 23rd, we're also going to be opening the phone line for a full discussion on the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. As we do know, is finally coming out of the president where he has served for 8 years. He's currently in London with us as he continues to take his medical treatment. But for now, I'm going to come back again. There's also been adjournment from the case of Nnamdi Kanu in Abuja. I'll be discussing that in the course of the program this morning.
Well, listeners, if you have missed out, as we did say, just go back to our the Star Radio UK social media platform, and it's the YouTube channel or the Facebook or any of them, and then you can go back and listen to it. Don't miss out next week. And as he said, on the 23rd, where we are going to evaluate the performance of the Buhari. We want you to add your voice to it. Additional Bishop Additional Adeyemo says, morning Star Radio UK, always on to your broadcast in my office, and many people like hearing your briefing and news broadcast. Thank you for your unique style. Let me say thank you very much to everyone in Bishop Adesina's office. We salute each and every one of you, and we would love to hear what your take is on some of the issues that we are discussing. But now in our North London studios, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, I'm Archie here in the South studios, and now let's move on. Well, how many days more? We know that by the 29th, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, the courts have not finished their petition hearing anything, then there's going to be a swearing in. But should the government in last minute award contracts to people? That seems to be what has happened. 18 days to go, and then they've awarded contracts. But the minister is justifying that action. Yomi.
Well, there won't be any changes in terms of the political party. The only difference is that we are having a new person, as we do know presently, which is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect. It is still the same APC, and maybe it doesn't matter that President Buhari still wants to get the loan of about almost $800 million. Whether that is going to be approved or not, we would have to wait and see. But what we know that in terms of President Buhari is doing his final push to do what is meant to be done when it comes to more contract. Why is the federal government approving contract 18 days to the handover, minister? What do we know? According to the news, the federal government has literally have to explain why the Federal Executive Council has approved multi-billion naira contract barely 18 days to the end of the President Muhammadu Buhari's regime. The Minister of Transportation, Maozu Sambo, and his water resources counterpart Sulaiman Adamu explained this after the fake meeting that comes up every Wednesday in Abuja that was chaired by the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, because Buhari is here treating his tooth. Sambo, while responding to question on the reason for the awards of contract which the outgoing minister would not execute due to the expiration of the tenure on the May 29, said the regime will continue to perform its duties up to May 28. He said, ladies and gentlemen, without any intention of mischief, this government was elected to function from 2019 to precisely 29th of May. So that literally means that Buhari's ministers believe that they still have up to the 28th until the 29th, when Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, would then fully take over. Whether that is justifiable, being an APC to APC, or that would have a lot of problem with Bola Tinubu when he comes in, we would have to wait and see. But it seems that Adamu explained that the contract approval process consumed time noting that the incoming government will continue from where President Muhammadu Buhari, like I said, it is not the PDP coming so far until the tribunal will probably change that, or Peter Obi. So that literally means that since it's APC, it's continuity.
Okay, listeners, interesting one there. Star Radio UK. Well, it says continuity, so it doesn't matter whoever they are, the same people that they were going to award those contracts to. But what do you think about all that? It is all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on. Before then, though, let me say, Adax Breaker, good morning. It's Mr. Koiki and Mr. Archie, Nigeria. Outgoing president and incoming president are taking treatment abroad at the same time. No be juju be that. Well, me I know some of you. May somebody tell me. Okay, now let's come to the tribunal, election tribunal sitting that is going on. We had information coming through saying that Atiku has stormed the hearing. So what is it going to be doing or saying? Are we looking at anything different from the outcome that everybody is expecting?
Well, it seems as yesterday, Peter Obi one was adjourned to the 17th. It seems that has happened at the breaking news is the court has adjourned Atiku petition challenging Tinubu victory to May 18. That will literally mean a countdown to the May 29 inauguration. From what we know, that Atiku arrived, in Abuja himself as against Tinubu, that hasn't arrived there or probably showed up. Atiku arrives in the court for the hearing this morning that is challenging Tinubu's victory. I could see him there, smiling, all suit up in his red tie and a very grey, suit there. He loves to put on his suit, and he believes that, that probably shows, incoming president. The former vice president, Atiku, has arrived at the presidential election petition court in Abuja. The former vice president is in court for the pre-hearing section of his petition against President-elect Bola Tinubu's victory during the February 25th election. When Atiku was the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Tinubu, a former Lagos State governor, was the flag bearer as well. But what I can now say that, after that, we do not know what has been said so far, but that has now been adjourned. The listed as number 1st to number 3rd respondent in the petition are the Independent National Electoral Commission. The pre-hearing of the petition was taken first this morning after the counsel for Atiku, Chris Uche, indicated an interest in the matter. I had the permission of Wole Olanipekun to indicate interest first in number 2. But like I said, there will be more details because that is how far we can say so far. But that has been adjourned for another 7 days from today, because today is 11th. So Atiku will be returning back to court on May 18th, as Peter Obi will be returning on May 17th.
Okay, let's see what happens. Well, they're coming in tens. Would that bring about any change? As we saw in the past, the case that was adjourned, is it that yes, that was 2 days ago, and then we had the president-elect and the president congratulating them, though it's PDP. But you know what? They say that we've accepted it. That's why they didn't say anything about it. So they hope that everybody will accept whatever the outcome is. But let's see what happens. It's All Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now Ghana is broke. Now, if Nigerians don't know, Ghana is proper broke. Now, they try to go to the IMF, and all the instructions or the requirements, they've not been able to meet that to satisfy the Bretton Woods institutions. So they've still not gotten their need, the money. So we have the president going around trying to talk to few people to give them a hand. But the budget office of the Federation has said Nigeria now has a limited borrowing space. That means if care is not taken, Nigeria is also going to get broke as well, because the moment you get to where you cannot actually, the debt to revenue ratio cannot be balanced very well, then you know that you are entering into such place, and therefore when you want loans to finance projects and stuff like that, you cannot get it outside of international institutions. So, Yomi, is Nigeria broke or almost broke or getting broke?
Well, depending on who you're having a conversation with this morning, with over, half of the country living in abject poverty, even though we do not have a real statistics of how many Nigerians, but going by what we know in terms of 200+ million, there's about almost 100 million Nigerians today that are currently in debt. So even if Nigeria is not in debt, Nigerians are in debt because of poverty. Yes, like you said, there's a trouble that is looming already. We have been talking about this in the last couple of days and weeks now, in terms of the borrowing, as the budget of the Office of the Federation has now said Nigeria has a limited borrowing space. What does that literally mean? Means that, to the poor debt of revenue ratio, stressing that the trouble looms in the country. According to Ben Kabuzu, while addressing the members of the 10th National Assembly at the week-long induction in Abuja yesterday, pointed out, while Nigerians remain healthy with its debt to GDP ratio, the country is not with its debt to revenue ratio. According to what we have, I think it's about almost 40 trillion naira is the debt of Nigeria. It's going to take us about 40 years to repay that back. How the new government is going to fund, the budget, because there's a deficit already of about 11 trillion. That is going to be one of the biggest problems, looking forward to as well. But one thing is, how can we maneuver around this? Oil production now 1 million barrels lower daily. One of our biggest revenue, each time I go back to the OECD, where in 2021, I'll be able to give us the statistics of what Nigeria made from the export, of our produce. 72.5% was the crude oil. So we couldn't even hit the 100% target in 2021. And that gave Nigeria almost equivalent of 57 billion US dollars. I'm talking about in 2021 to the sales of our crude oil. There's a lot of countries that buy from that. We're talking about India being the biggest buyer of Nigerian crude oil. And if you look at India today, you could see that industrialization continued to kick in India. So they need that crude oil to kick that industrialization to be able to stable rather. If you look at Spain also buys almost 11.6% of our crude oil. It means that Nigeria is not doing very well when it comes to what we do export. We have the human capacity, but because of lack of infrastructure, that has literally beaten Nigeria backwards. So we only have 72% of crude oil and 14.8% of the petroleum gas. All other exports are just below 2.16%. But if you look at Bulgaria, like we said yesterday, Bulgaria is about 7 million in terms of the population, but they've been able to develop their ICT sector. And as of today, 10,000 ICT companies are currently in Bulgaria, and they are outsourcing that to the rest of the world. Just as we do say, when I make the call to Sky, I was able to find out that the customer service is based in Bulgaria, even though the engineer that will complete the job is here in UK. That is because they have the infrastructure. So going back to the business activities today, as long as the oil production continue to have problems, we are not making enough revenue that will give us the forex as well. So, and the reason for that is there's a lot of pressure in that part of the region where the crude oil production is going on. Nigeria oil production is currently lower than its technical allowable capacity by about 1 million barrels per day, according to the federal government yesterday.
Okay, listeners, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 11:24, and we are looking at some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria. On Updates from Nigeria, it comes to you every weekday at 11 o'clock with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Now, the plateau workers have commenced an indefinite strike after the failure of government to meet their demands. Now, we know that there were strikes. ASU went on strike for a very long time before later on. Is it early part of this year that they managed to sort something out and they are gone back? But now, in our plateau state where we have workers going indefinitely, what are their demands?
Well, demands are always, the right wages to be paid according to what we should be expecting Nigerians to be earning is about almost 30,000 naira per month. But not every state can afford that. Maybe Lagos can do, and Rivers State and some other state that are doing very well. But a state like Plateau State is not making enough money that we won't be able to pay that amount. Also, as the naira depreciates against the dollar, if a state is not enabling itself in terms of having opportunity where foreigners can come in. Plateau State is also one of the zone, when you look at the the information from the UK, if you're traveling to Nigeria, avoid certain states as well. Plateau workers have commenced an indefinite strike after the failure of the government to meet their demand. The question you ask is, what are these demands? Every worker has demand, but let's look at some of those demands. The action was declared in a notice of the strike that was issued by the Joint Negotiation Council, JNC, Plateau chapter yesterday late in the night. The notice, jointly signed by the Plateau JNC chairman Titus Malu and the secretary Timothy Gopel, said the strike followed the expiration of the 4 days extension of the earlier 7-day ultimatum. So it's not that they've just started a strike. They've given a 7 days ultimatum. They've extended it to 4 days. But it seems that Plateau State governor is clearly not ready to negotiate with them. The workers added the action is imperative since the government reneged in fulfilling its own part of the agreement despite a series of promises. We are therefore directing all our affiliated unions that the strike commenced from the midnight yesterday. According to them all affiliated unions are directed to adhere strictly and ensure compliance. The workers are battling the Plateau State government, just as usual, over unpaid salaries, among other demands. I don't understand why workers need to work for a month, 2 months, 3 months, then you pay them the first month, and then tell them to wait for the next 2 months. But again, Nigeria, a 36 state, is not visible enough to curtail, because most of these states, like I said, are not adding any value to Nigeria in the first place. But as we do know, 36 states, governors have his own, so much runnings. I remember in 2017 traveling to Ibogun in Ogun State, and the amount of vehicles that Amoson, the governor then, came into the event. I was asking, is it really necessary, looking at the state that does not have enough IGR and they're traveling in a convoy of about 50 vehicles?
That's one thing that our leaders do, and at times I look at them quietly and I look at our own citizens and ask them, when you go to the polls, use your head, because you see people living that opulent life. I mean, as if we've got lots of money to waste. Meanwhile, people are scratching, or the bottom of the barrel to survive. Because if I work, first month, second month, you've not paid me, how do you expect me to be able to travel down? Do you expect me to go and steal? Do you expect me to be doing corrupted issue of something involved in corruption to make myself able to come in? Or how? Because I don't know. So the system in default has been set so that it corrupts people. What do you think?
Well, you're quite right. Like I said, the wastage among all our state governors is something quite alarming. When you look at the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister probably moved with maximum about 4 vehicles and some motorcade as well. Yeah. So the question then is, why do we need 50 motorcade traveling with the governor, knowing fully well that itself costs a lot to operate, because you have to fuel the vehicle, you have to get the drivers in. Maybe some of those are the workers that are not even getting paid in the first place.
Well, listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. Let me touch on this one, and then we will come to look at the others. Now, EFCC has detained Buhari's former minister. He was the Minister of Power, and is alleged to have diverted an amount of 22 billion naira. Do you have any information pertaining to that?
Yeah, that was yesterday. It's not the first time that EFCC continued to detain individuals, but the problem is, can EFCC, really do what needs to be done in terms of getting justice? Because some of these cases continue to drag, and sometimes, this person, will end up getting a bill, probably a bill of about, whatever amount which they will be able to afford. Mm-hmm. And this is a problem that an average man will not be able to. We've seen a lot of EFCC arranging innocent, or I would say innocent, those that are into fraud and different criminality. and they are presented, their faces are blown out into the social media. But this individual now, their faces are not shown. They're given a easy step to get into the office of the EFCC. But like I said, President Muhammadu Buhari's government has had a lot to discuss when it comes to corruption. That corruption continues to be one of the biggest threats to humanity in Nigeria.
So, I mean, since he came in, how many people have they actually imprisoned or been able to take their the state monies that these individuals have stolen? How many people? Can we account for that?
Well, not in the head, but to be honest, not much has been done, because all we know is Buhari orders, finance minister, the DSS, EFCC, custom, to end like the petrol scarcity. This was in January. As much as Nigerians expect this, the institution to work, but this institution has not really worked, and that is why today, the federal government of President Muhammadu Buhari continue to violate, some of the reason why, the Kano is still in detention, and so many other cases as well. But in terms of the corruption, not much has been done in 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. Remember that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, they talked about, ending corruption himself when he comes in, on the 29th of May. Whether he will be able to do such, we would have to wait and see, because Buhari, that we expected so much from, could not perform. And we've heard from those that are close within the caucus of this government that this government is the most corrupt government, even though we know 16 years of the PDP was as well as more corrupt as this government as well. And this government have only spent 8 years compared to PDP that spent the first 16 years since 1999. Money that was meant for electricity to the tune of $16 billion. Obasanjo could not tell us where the money is, and so much when Jonathan came in. So the wastage between the 16 years of the PDP, the APC have not been able to block that wastage, and that means more Nigerians will live in more abject poverty.
Now, do you remember that Buhari's wife, Aisha, did make a statement that Buhari would have gone after people, would have done lots of things, but there are some people behind the scenes who seem to be controlling him. You remember when she made that statement, and then Buhari said that she's meant for the kitchen, so she should just stay in the kitchen. Now, so does that mean that it was something that Buhari could have done, but the institution is such that it's holding him?
Well, let's go back to 2019. Even as much as Aisha Buhari is saying something, the PDP also says Aisha Buhari's alleged revelation of 500 billion fraud vindicated us. This is what the PDP believes, that Aisha Buhari that gave them that information. So this was May 26, so just about 2019, and this is what we know then. The People's Democratic Party Sunday claimed that the revelation by the president's wife Aisha Buhari that there was humongous fraud in the 500 billion naira social investment program and the 16 billion naira mosquito net project embarked by Muhammadu Buhari's government vindicate its position that the present administration was not just only deceitful and also pretentious citadel of corruption. It also alleged that Aisha Buhari revolution has even shown that the PDP has not been crying wolf by its call for an account of the said trillions of naira allegedly stolen under Buhari's watch in the last 4 years. This was by the party spokesman then, Kola Ologbodiyan, that revealed this in 26th of May. And if you look after the May 26, 2019, corruption continued to starch, and it seems Buhari will be remembered for the most corrupt government under the APC.
Well, listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. Bishop Adesina says that, Nigeria's judicial problem is the type of constitution Nigeria uses. Now, the Nigerian law will continue to be pervaded until it is changed, since government do not use the written constitution. If government was using the written constitution, talking about freedom for everybody, yes, and the rule of law, then Nnamdi Kanu should still not be held, and Chief Sunday Igboho should not be, as they are pursuing him. But we have Omo Yele Showore, who has said that another adjournment by the Supreme Court after federal government lawyer came with delayed tactics as usual to keep Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unjustly and indefinitely detained. Now, so we see that tactics that they play, they come in, they say we've forgotten that or we remembered that and all that stuff. So what has been the latest of Nnamdi Kanu state, again, apart from what is happening here in the UK?
Well, the case of Nnamdi Kanu went back again to Abuja today, but again, like you just explained, it doesn't seem is a good news. Judicial system in Nigeria is a waste of time. How the lawyers and the advocate and the senior advocate of Nigeria managed to, to do case that ends up becoming 5 years, 10 years. The case of Ike Kirimadu did not even last up to 3 weeks from the start up to when he was sentenced. The question is, why is it taking longer? We know that Nnamdi Kanu has been acquitted, of all charges, but it seems that the federal government that is challenging that is now using tactics delay. I'm looking at some of the images, the videos coming from Abuja, this morning with Showore as usual, always there to attend, whether it is Yoruba Nation, whether it's Nigerians, whether it is the case of Biafra or the Ijo or El Zakizaki. It seems that Showore is just in and out, as that person waiting for, good governance and the best for the citizen. But he actually said another adjournment by the Supreme Court after the federal government lawyer came with delayed tactics. Definitely we know that the federal government lawyer is part of the corruption going on in Nigeria that doesn't want the judicial system to work in the first place. Maybe the judges are ready to give that verdict or the whatever needs to be done, but since the lawyer is playing the delayed tactics, or maybe Buhari is just waiting to hand over the case of Nnamdi Kanu to President-elect to deal with.
Well, Bishop Adesina now continues. So rather, they use, that is the unwritten, they don't use, that's the unwritten constitution. Rather, they use the unwritten constitution where all sector laws are regarded uniquely as a constitution and treated so, not some set of rules roughed together in one book. Well, so we don't have anything like that. So if I sit today and I decided we're going to do this or we're going to do that in a particular case, that's what goes on. My younger brother, Herbert would say this is elimination by rough tactics. So you delay, you do all that stuff, keep the person there every day. You come, I've left my file, and then so what? But well, it is Starr Radio UK. 11:38 the time. We'll go back to Yomi for him to bring the rest of the stories and what is happening on the social media platform. Over to you, Yomi.
Thank you so much. The first SEC approval commodities firm is launched according to the business sector. NMDPR have shut 75 filling station in Osun State. Maybe we should look into that because we know that anything that's got to do with petrol in Nigeria is not just only big business, it's also a lot of bunkering happening there as well. Osun State Office of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority yesterday said it has shut as many as 75 filling stations for various infractions in the state within 1 month. According to the NMDPRA state coordinator, Mr. Kunle Adeyemo, that disclosed this while speaking with journalists on Wednesday on the activities of the agency in the month of April, said infractions committed by operator including operating without a valid license. Wow. Imagine a petrol station here in UK without a license. Adeyemo said in a month, the surveillance team of the agency visited 301 filling stations across the state, during which it discovered that many filling stations were not operating with a valid operational license. Adeyemo further went to say, we have now sealed 75 filling stations operating without a valid operational license and for other infraction as well. The rain is just kicking start here in UK, and a very, very long day to go as the weather continues to bite as well. Federal government get the World Bank extension for the Nigerian care. Let's talk about that, then we go straight to the social media this morning. And what is that all about? From what we know, the Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Prince Clement Agba, yesterday in Benin City said the World Bank has granted a 1-year extension for the Nigerian Care Program. The program was meant to support the micro, small, and the medium-scale enterprise to cushion the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. I hope this is just not another corruption, where money that is meant to be given to the micro, small, and medium end up in the pocket. He stated this at the ministerial town hall meeting for the beneficiaries of the scheme from Edo State, Delta State, Bayelsa State, and River State. We do know that during the COVID year in UK, if your business was registered 2 years before the COVID, you are also entitled to some loan. And we saw that some people abused it where they were able to get those loans out, even though the loan was not meant for them. Agba said there was approval to give cash advance to 36 states of the Federation, since many of them will be getting new governors and the cash crunch occasioned by the COVID-19 was still not over and still not, and still affecting the state. We are not too sure how much the money is all about. Okay, I think he said that each state was given 1 billion naira during the COVID-19 period, with the exemption of Lagos State, which got 10 billion naira, while Kano and the FCT got a little more. I'm just hearing this for the first time. It seems that there was a lot of money. So let's now go further. He added that we gave 1 billion naira to each state during the COVID-19, with the exception of Lagos State that got 10 billion naira. Kano and FCT got a little bit more because those were the epic center of the pandemic, but we still had to get $750 million World Bank loan to support the state. So this is not even a free money. It's actually a loan. We had been flooding problem last year, which affected our food security supply chain for food. We also approached the World Bank to extend the program for another year to June 2024. This is where corruption goes on in Nigeria, for those that knows how to manipulate through the World Bank, the IMF, while an average Nigerian will be thinking, how did $1 billion naira came into our state during the COVID, and we never saw our governor talking about it. The naira continued to depreciate against the dollar this morning. Not a very good one for Nigeria. The naira depreciate against the dollar. Exchange rate is about 460 naira at the investors and the exporter window. That is not the black market. You will not be able to get a dollar if you're going to your bank because the dollar is not available there. You'll be told to go to the black market from those banks because you'll be wasting your time thinking you will get it from there. The naira sold as low as 460 naira. A total turnover of $178 million was traded at the official investors export and window. This is just for those in the stock market, but for the average Nigerian, you will not be buying it at 460 naira, because if you buy this for 460 naira from the bank, you can also sell it to the black market for about another 200 naira on top of it. And if you have about $1,000, think of how much you could make. But getting the dollar from the bank is a big business. And not just that alone, if you are also trading outside Nigeria where you need a dollar, you will be struggling to get the dollar. You will end up buying it as well from the black market. We're going to go straight to the social media. Once again, at 11:43, time is so spent already. Not sure why Simon Ekpa is trending this morning. Oba of Lagos continue to trend. Zamfara State is trending as well. And then let's look at Qatar is trending. We know that there's a lot of Nigerians in Qatar. Not too sure why that is trending. But for just argument's sake, we'll just go to type in Nigeria and say what is trending as well. Once again, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. This is Starr Radio UK. And if you're just joining us for the first time, make sure you do so Monday to Friday, where we discuss about Nigeria as well. So in terms of Nigeria as a whole trending this morning, there's a lot. Nigerian debt profiling becoming unsustainable. The DG office lament, once a country's debt service ratio exceeds 30%, that country is in trouble, and we are already pushing towards 100%. That tells you how much trouble we are in. We hope that we won't be in trouble. Adetutu Balogun, you are busy respecting the elders. The elders are busy looting your inheritance. Hashtag Nigeria. So you can see there. Also, Aloy Ejimako, on 13th of July 2021, 2 weeks after illegally brought to Nigeria, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu tweeted my position that because it was rendition and not extradited, its trial and even detention cannot stand in law. I pray that the Supreme Court affirmed the position today, but that is not happening. The Supreme Court have actually adjourned it as well. So I'm going to take one more, and then I come back again to you in the studio. This is the Star Radio UK. Balami Issa at the court today. The spirit was so high, the morale was incredible, the confidence of the obedient and the lawyers radiated all through the room. Fear not, Nigeria. There is already a victory for us, and for Nigeria, the election they stole will return back to the people. Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and that is how far we can go on the broadcast headline coming out of Nigeria this morning.
Yes, listeners, it's Star Radio UK. Just a quick one. There's one story pertaining to a Nigerian girl, a 24-year-old
that got missing in Ghana. In Ghana for prostitution.
So
while I was in the program this morning, we had a caller from Ghana, one of our regular caller that was also telling us that as many Nigerians are into prostitution in Ghana, and the reason for that is that is probably maybe the only way they can survive. But the particular story that you've just talked about, which is not a story, is a reality. This young girl, 24 years old, Oyida Mola Ola, who has just been sold into prostitution in Ghana by an unknown Nigerian lady. She went missing over 2 weeks ago. All effort at finding her has proven abortive, according to the report. So they are now asking Nitcon Abike. Abike is in Ghana. I don't know whether she has returned back to Nigeria because she's been walking around with the Sudan, crisis. She was able to put out a distress call by someone's phone over there in Ghana. She already shared her ordeal because they have seized her phone. According to her, a woman took she and her friend to Ghana after promising them a good job offer. But on getting there, the whole thing changed. The woman kept her somewhere with someone and left her with her friend. So this is not new. We know that this happened a lot in Nigeria. We've seen a lot of Nigerians stuck in Libya. There's a particular case as well where this young girl is currently in the prison for the last 2 years. They're crying for help, but the help doesn't seem to be coming. So we hope that the Nigerian ambassador to Ghana will look into this, just as those that are asking, what more can Nigeria do to save Nigerians, whether in Ghana or wherever we are.
Yeah, and I think those of us listening to the program or on the platforms, we want to advise each and every one of you. Somebody just come and tell you that, look, I'm taking your child or your this into this particular part of the world, and because there are good jobs and this and at times they are lying. You have to do some search. Make sure that they really talking what they are really talking about is true. If not, you find yourself in such a situation. It's not easy thing at all. So we want to encourage each and every one of us to be vigilant there. Yomi, before we go.
Well, I'll be back again same time tomorrow, the Friday edition. And just before we go, that is the young girl face in case she's someone that let's get that adjusted a little bit. We prayed for a quick return back. As you can see there, that is the young girl face. I'll be back again tomorrow, but stay tuned with Archie for the rest of the program. And like you said, it can only be false, because if somebody's offering you something that can happen in reality, please avoid it, especially those young girls that are now coming out of the university and they're becoming stuck with no jobs. It's not easy anywhere in the world, but one thing is, we pray that this young girl is found as quickly as possible and return back to Nigeria.
Okay, so Yomi, thank you very, very much.
That's for now.
Right. Well, we'll continue to keep the image of the lady. We'll try to make some noise about it. If anybody in Ghana or anywhere have seen her, yes, you have to report to the police. Back there, and so that she can be returned to her family in peace. Well, it is Star Radio UK. I'm going to bring you some music. We're going to take a music break, and then we'll continue with the show. And this round is from Root Riders, a cover version of Bob Marley's tune. It says, "Who the Cubs Fit." Now, we've talked about a lot of things, but our leaders, who the Cubs fit, let them wait. If they've done the right thing, do you think that this lady will have to travel to Ghana to go and be involved in prostitution? All right, then. So enjoy this music whilst I come back to you. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
to the backing vocals, how sweet. That sounds so sweet. Listen. Man to man, it's so unjust. Children, you don't know who to trust. Your worst enemy could be your best friend. And your best friend, your worst enemy. Some will eat and drink with you. Then behind them, sus upon you. Only your friends know your secret. So only he could reveal it. And who the cap is, let them wear it. Who the cap is, let them wear it. I said I drove me gone. Did not call no foul. I said you look. Clap. Listen up. Hey, help me out here. Someone hates you. Pretend they love you now. Then behind it, trying to eliminate you. But who jobless? No one cares. They order. Well past the worst. Hypocrites and parasites. Welcome up and take a bite. And if your nights should turn today now, a lot of people would run away. They do their cap fit. Let them wear it. They do their cap fit. Let them wear it. I said I drove me car.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
I'm saying glug. Well, glug.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Well, glug. Let me hear it. Glug. Glug. Me say you glug. Glug. Say you click. Click. Say you bum.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me say good morning to Omoto Show Olayomi. He says, well done, bro. Good job. Right on. And Omoto Show, have a lovely day then. Thank you very much for tuning in to listen to us as well. As I did say, the lines will be open exactly as in the next 4 minutes. And then we'll continue with the discussions, looking at other stories making the rounds across the globe. 12:30 will bring the program to a close there. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. This evening, I will be bringing you the Property Hour and also the repeat broadcast of the BB Means Business show. So make sure you make a date on those programs. But it is Star Radio UK. Let's move on straight to some of the other stories making the round. My producer says I need to just open the line so that those of you who want to hop in will hop on whilst we go on. So 0208 133 2257 or 580208 133 2257 or 58. If you happen to the US and or Canada, it is 0017183032737 0017183032737. You can text or WhatsApp us. It's 07539661744 07539661744. Our Twitter handle is at Star Radio UK and our email address is info@starradiouk.com. Also on the WhatsApp, you can call us on that one as well, and I'll be able to pick that as well. So wherever you are, don't miss out on the chance of getting in touch with us. Okay? Yes. So it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to some other stories making the rounds today. Moving on straight to some of the African countries there. Now, 16.5 million displacements recorded across sub-Saharan Africa in 2022. A report have said we've seen that since the start of the conflict, the most recent conflicts in April, we've already recorded the same number of displacements. My goodness. Okay, a year they managed to do so, but now just few months on, 4 months on, and we've recorded the same number, 16.5 million people who have been displaced. And that is a serious one, because that happens, the youth, those who can want to travel to the to Europe, and then they'll come, they're stranded, and all stuff that goes on there. But at times I ask myself the question, our leaders who are there, are they actually representing us? Are they doing our bidding, or they have become masters that we have to serve? What did we vote them in for? After all, it's the taxpayers' money that they are using to live that life of opulence. But what do you think about all that? Let your thoughts be known. It is Star Radio UK. Well, when it comes to the environment as well, 2022 happened to be the hottest year for Morocco for 40 years. That's what the story says. The year 2022 has been the hottest recorded in Morocco for decades, a consequence of climate change. The National Meteorology announced on Wednesday the year 2022 is the hottest recorded in Morocco for 40 years, beyond the record set in 2020, exceeding the average temperature for the period from between 1981 to 2010 by 1.63 degrees, specified on unofficial of the weather on the occasion of the presentation of an annual report on the climate. So that's what's happening in Morocco. They have records. Now, what about other countries there? How is the weather in Nigeria, in Ghana? How is the environment or climate change actually affecting us in all those places? Okay. Now, there's a mystery illness that has killed 9 people and left 80 ill in Kenya, so trouble looms Now let's see. At least 9 people have died and over 80 others are seriously ill in Kagi location, Masabate County, following an outbreak of an unknown disease. Moses Galora, the senior chief of the area, has appealed for an urgent intervention to prevent further fatalities. Now, preliminary tests indicated that the possibility of a violent malaria outbreak, according to local media reports. Now, according to Chief Galoro, 6 adults and 3 children aged between 1 and 3 years have died from the disease. The affected persons had a travel history out of Massachusetts County, having come from satellite camps in Archer's Post and Merrill areas. Out of the 27 patients screened, and only 5 tested positive for malaria. Symptoms exhibited by most of the affected persons include flu-like symptoms, yellow eyes, and severe headaches. However, the latest victims who died at Kagi Health Center exhibited flu-like symptoms, swollen spleen, severe headaches, and yellowish eye, which is similar to Kalaza. Now, medics, however, say visceral let me take it again. That's a big one there. Visceral leishmaniasis, also known as Kalaza disease, cannot be ruled out. We hope that the authorities see to curb at or nip it in the bud before it spreads, and we're not knowing exactly what is going on there. And when it comes to hours and when people die and how we want to just go clamoring for the body and the way we want to all go, I don't know. The other time I was talking to my producer, Mr. Francis Guy, and I was saying that I'm not happy about that thing that we do at all. But maybe if we, when things like that happen, we back off. Let the health team see to it, because we don't know what has killed the person. So not trooping in and everybody coming in to see and then touching. At times we just need to let common sense prevail there. Well, it is all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's like when people are saying that why should the government lock people down, and when people have lost their loved ones, they should have allowed them to go on. And I say that is nonsense. Actually, I apologize for the word that I've used there, but because we didn't know what exactly was happening at the time. Let's say the quantum of people who died out of this COVID. And if they say stay at home or wash your hand or do this, not to go to places where, especially when we didn't know, because I remember when the COVID started, myself and Mr. Frank Davis, because we were, because of the media that we were in, we were here all the time bringing the programs every day, virtually. We were here every day. I think apart from Saturdays that we were not hosting program, but Sundays we were here to bring church services to people as well. But you look at the case where we were talking about it, that look, this is an airborne disease. It's an airborne disease. And they say, no. So they just lock people onto ships and stuff like that. People were flying and they will come. Somebody is infected. They bought a plane or a ship and then boom, everybody in there or on there was affected as well. So it's the same thing. So when we don't know much about whatever is going on, please, let's adhere to the rules and let's make sure that we protect as many people as we can. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, moving on straight to some other stories. 3 minutes past the top of the hour at the time. In Ghana, 8 children dead, another missing after a boat capsized at Fana, Botiano. This is due to the spillage of the Wager Dam. And it's a sad one. 8 children at Fana, an island community in the Greater Accra region, have drowned. The pupils are said to have drowned late afternoon on Wednesday while returning from school. 12 people, including the boat owner, were on the boat when the incident happened, killing 8 of them. You look at what they use that they call a boat. Although 3 people managed to swim to safety, 1 child was unaccounted for. A search is going on to find her. Now, giving more details after visiting the town, some of the news reporters were saying that the boat owner is currently in police custody to assist with investigation. This is a proper canoe that they were sitting in. Now, he also revealed that the town has been thrown into a state of mourning following the incident. Now, moving on straight. Meanwhile, the deceased have been sent to Kolebu Teaching Hospital mortuary in Accra. Police have also called on parents of the victims to help identify their kin. Okay, so we will be telling you the incident followed a recent equally unfortunate boat accident at Azizanya in the Ada estuary, which also claimed 8 lives. Now, people operating such canoes as means of transporting or moving people from one point to the other, what rules govern their operation? And again, someone will ask the question, do they have life jackets that these people, these kids use? This is just, even this one is very close to the capital, and this happens there. What about those who are living maybe up north somewhere, not near any facility at all? How many people have died there? Well, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Somebody asked the question, can't a school be built in their communities for them at least? All right. The General Legal Council in Ghana has with immediate effect withdrawn its recognition of faculties of law of 3 private universities. The affected universities are Presbyterian University College, Kumasi Campus, Wisconsin International University College, Kumasi Campus, and Greenfield College, Sunyani. The notice was published in the dailies yesterday. While the reason for the withdrawal of recognition is not stated, the GLC noted that their decision was in pursuant to Section 4 of the Legal Profession Act, 1960 Act 32, as inserted by the Legal Profession Act Amendment Number 2, Decree 1967, NLCD 213, subsection 1A, which stipulates that with effects from the first day of January 1971, a person shall not be qualified for enrollment under any provision of the Act unless he is a holder of a degree from a university approved by the General Legal Council. My apologies. The general public is advised accordingly. The notice signed by the Secretary of the GLC, Justice Cynthia Pamela A. Addo, concluded. Okay, so you cannot be enrolled into any institution of the sort to be trained as a legal person unless you have a degree. You hold a degree, the legal profession, unless you hold a degree in some from some universities that they have actually have gone as one that are accredited to do so. Okay, so it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Still one other story, and then we can move on quickly to other parts of the world. As I did say, the program finishes exactly at 12:30. Now, we talked about this yesterday. The NDC primaries. NDC is yet to submit voters register to the EC. Dr. Shribu Koiki is saying. Now, EC pulls out of NDC primaries, woman. Okay, it says that with less than 3 days to the National Democratic Congress presidential and parliamentary primaries, Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Shribu Koiki, says the commission is yet to be finished with the party's voters register. Now, according to him, the agreement was that we should have the registers and the ballot papers at least a week to the election. However, the NDC's executives have failed to do so. Currently, the scheduled date for the presidential and parliamentary primaries is at risk of being rescheduled following an injunction filed by the NDC presidential aspirant Dr. Kwabena Dufo, who insists that the voters register submitted to his team contains discrepancies. Dr. Shribu speaking this morning noted that till the NDC injunction is lifted by the court, the EC will withdraw from offering its services to the party. He said it was to avoid such situation that the EC had urged the party to submit its voters register early for all changes to be addressed timeously. Now, so these things should have been made available a long time ago, because we knew that when such things are done, you have people petitioning and the rest. So we were thinking that if we had gotten it early enough, they would have addressed any challenges that may come out of it. There have been instances where we'll go for the election, and at the venue of the election, the registrar will be brought to you, and you may have to be making calls so that whilst you're doing the election, new names will be added and subtracted. Interesting. So this thing should be a lesson to the political parties that when they're going to do anything, they will inaudible. Okay, they should ahead of time so that we will not be having challenges in registers. He said the injunction case will be heard on Friday, a day to the scheduled May 13 election day. Meanwhile, the NDC in a press statement has urged its party faithfuls and aspirants to keep calm as the party's legal team handles the situation. And does that actually spoil or destroy the chances of Dr. Dufour, some way, somehow, let me put it that way, winning the bid to become the flag bearer for the NDC? Okay, it's Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. But on the case of Dr. Dufour's petition to the courts for the interlocutory injunction, Dufour's case is frivolous, incompetent, not grounded in law. That's what NDC is saying to the High Court. Now, lawyers for the opposition National Democratic Congress have urged an Accra High Court to dismiss what they say is frivolous and incompetent case filed by flag bearer aspirant Dr. Kwabena Dufour. They also described the case as one grounded in law, which have made that the plaintiff sued is incompetent and therefore ought to be dismissed in limelight. Again, the plaintiff has not been able to demonstrate on the face of his pleadings and affidavits that it's just or inconvenient for the honorable court to grant the injunction that he seeks. Now, Dr. Dufour's campaign team alleged it has not been furnished with an accurate list of persons who are supposed to participate in the May 13 presidential and parliamentary polls. He therefore wants the court to put the election on hold and have the party engage candidates on a roadmap towards drawing up an accurate list of voters. The Electoral Commission has already indicated it will not be supervising the polls unless the legal issues are resolved. So what happens if the NDC decides to embark on it so that, yeah, the one person sits there, they tick, this one has come, this one has come, and then everybody votes without the supervision of the Electoral Commission? Would that hold water? Would that be legal? Well, I want to know that. Now, 30 minutes past 12 the time, the morning show, the program. Let's move on to other parts of the world as well. Well. UK interest rate has risen to 4.5%. The base rate has risen from 4.25 to 4.5%. The 12th successive raise in a row. The bank has been raising rates in an attempt to lower inflation, the rate at which prices are rising. Now, rising interest rates mean monthly payments on some mortgages, loans, and credit cards will go up, though some people will earn more money on their savings. Now, high inflation, largely driven by the soaring cost of energy, has pushed prices up, leaving many people struggling with the cost of living. But information coming through says that questions on interest rates and cost of living later on. That's the Bank of England. Kevin Pecci will be doing that in a moment. But 7 of the 9 members of the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee have voted to increase the base interest rate from 4.25 to 4.5. They said there had been repeated surprises about the resilience of the demand and that inflation had been stronger than expected as the prices of food and other goods were higher. The remaining 2 members of the committee wanted to keep rates unchanged, saying that inflation was already expected to fall considerably this year. Now, they also said a lot of impact of rising rates had not yet come through into the economy. The bank estimates that around a third of the impact of the rates increases has been passed through. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Well, how is it going to impact you? But the governor of the Bank of England is saying that the inflation will drop sharply during the summer. How is that going to happen? Well, I know that information was coming through saying that is it energy prices going to fall, and so maybe that was what's going to push the inflation rate down. What do you think? They said whatever the budget for or estimated, they didn't come in that way. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on straight to some other stories, since we've got about another 50 minutes to bring the program to a close. There. All right then. So moving on straight to some other. Well, some more UK economies to avoid recession this year, says the Bank of England forecast comes as it raises the interest rates. But well. Now, actor, yes, he's been one of my favorite actors, actor Stephen Tompkinson had been found not guilty of causing grievous bodily harm to a drunken man making noise outside his home. The 57-year-old actor was accused of punching the man in the early hours of 30th May 2021 in the Whitley Bay, North Tyneside. Now, Newcastle Crown Court had heard Mr. Tompkinson's action caused car pull to fall and fracture his car. The DCI Bank Starr said he acted in self-defense. Prosecutors claimed he had snapped and slashed out at Mr. Poole in disgust at his behavior, but Mr. Tompkinson told jurors the contact wasn't enough to knock a sober man off his feet. Mr. Tompkinson nodded but showed no visible emotion when the verdict was announced, following just under 2 hours of jury deliberation. As for his reaction, he was leaving court. He said, "I just want to go home. Let me go home." So he's going home. Well, so that is some information coming your way from here in the UK. In some other stories as well here in the UK. Well, Rishi Sunak broke his word over EU law, says Jacob Rees-Mogg. The former Conservative Minister Jacob Rees-Mogg has accused Rishi Sunak of breaking his word after the government ditched plans to allow thousands of EU-era laws to expire by the end of 2023. Now, defending the move, Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch told the MP the government was still ending EU supremacy, but just changing how we are doing it. She said it showed Brexiteers could be pragmatic and do what is right. But Mr. Rees-Mogg said the deadline will make Whitehall work. Now, speaking this morning, he said it had enough to motivate Whitehall at the best of times. They are not necessarily coming into the office. They don't seem to be working with efficiency one would like. Now, without a deadline, nothing will happen and will retain these EU laws for a long time. Mr. Rees-Mogg, who championed the deadline when he was business secretary last year, said getting rid of the laws would help make the UK economy more competitive and reduce inflation. Of the Prime Minister, he said he has broken his word. This is very serious in my view. Dave Penman, the head of the FDA union, which represents senior civil servants, hit back at his suggestion the civil service were to blame, saying the deadline was an inevitability. It was a bizarre way of doing business in government to say that unless we get to a certain point in time, any piece of legislation will simply fall away. Well. Now, I know that some have regretted the move. Some are looking at it that, well, we didn't make the right move. We didn't assess it very well. But it looks like Rees-Mogg thinks, well, we have to still get on with it. As Boris Johnson used as his mantra for the 2019 elections, that we have to get on with it, and they were getting on with it. And let's get Brexit done. And then they got Brexit done and getting on. And now things seem to be biting us. If you look at the advanced economies, it's only the UK that will not actually, the economy, not appreciate the way it's supposed to. I think either we're going to be stagnant or retrogress instead. But what do you think about all that? Well. They just think, yeah, Look at that. No, we are Brexiting. Oh, see, what about our trade? What about people traveling? Oh, we are Brexiting. That's all that was on their mind. Is it because they don't travel? They don't like traveling to that part of the world, to Europe and stuff like that. Maybe they like going to the States and maybe going to Australia or maybe going to Canada and stuff like that. What do you think about that? It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, wind has become the main source of electricity for the first time. It says wind power overtakes gas for the first time in the UK during first 3 months of the year. Wow. When you travel up and down the breadth of the country, you find the length of the country, you find that wind farms are coming up. I mean, in most places, and if that is going to do it for us, why not? But we'll be giving the allowance for that to happen on. I was thinking that maybe one of the days projects that I'm doing back home and stuff like that, maybe I need to get one like that. But how much will one cost? I bet you we'll be talking about that as the days and the times unfold. But wherever you are, stay tuned. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, one story from Adam Price has quit as Plaid Cymru leader after a report found misogyny, harassment and bullying in the party. North Wales Senate member Leah Grufford will take over as interim leader with a new leader in place in the summer, the party has said. It follows months of difficulties implied, including allegation of a sexual assault and a toxic working culture. In his resignation letter, Mr. Price said he no longer had the united support of his colleagues. He said he wanted to resign in the wake of the report's findings, but was initially persuaded not to quit. Now, you have my personal assurances that I will continue to serve my country, my constituents, and our party with determination and enthusiasm, he said in a letter to party chairman Mark Jones. On Thursday, Labour First Minister Mark Drakeford said discussions on his cooperation agreement with Plaid would take place in light of recent development. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now we're moving on to some other international stories as well. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has said his visit to Northern Ireland last month was to ensure the Brits didn't screw around. That's a strong word. He was speaking at the Democratic Party event in New York yesterday. Mr. Biden undertook a 4-day visit to Ireland in April to mark 25 years since the Good Friday Agreement. The trip also focused on the president's Irish ancestry, with the majority of his time spent in the Republic of Ireland. On Wednesday, Mr. Biden said, I got to go back to Ireland for the Irish Accords to make sure the Brits didn't screw around and Northern Ireland didn't walk away from their commitment. Well. How would the Brits actually take this statement that the president has made? I remember he didn't make such a statement before he left. But, well, what do you think? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, Zelensky says we must wait before starting offensive. What is happening there? It says that Ukraine's president says in an interview his country will lose a lot of people if it attacks now. So they are not well positioned to go on the offensive. So they're going to wait. All right, good luck to them. An Israeli strike kills top rocket commander in Gaza. Militants fire rockets and mortars at Israel after Islamic Jihad rocket launching chief is killed. Well, let me say good afternoon to my papa, my head pastor, Reverend Hendrik Bruce, who was sending me a message that we need to pray for Israel. All right then. Now, 2 dead in shooting at a Mercedes-Benz factory. A suspect has been arrested after opening fire at a plant in southwestern Germany. Those are some of the stories making the rounds there as well. And also, okay, the Finnish Prime Minister, who is said to be leaving office, had decided to also divorce. Finland's outgoing Prime Minister Sanna Marin and her husband Markus Räikkönen have filed for divorce. We are grateful for the 19 years together, and our beloved daughter Miss Marin said on Instagram on Wednesday. The couple married in 2020 when Miss Marin was leading the country's pandemic response, and they share a 5-year-old daughter. She is due to leave office after his center-left party lost the general election last month. In a story posted on her Instagram account, Miss Marin said she is still best friends with Mr. Räikkönen, who is businessman and a former professional footballer. We will continue to spend time together as a family and with each other, she added. Miss Marin, 37, became the world's youngest prime minister when she took office in 2019, but she lost out in a tight race to the National Coalition Party headed by Petteri Orpo and the right-wing populist Finns Party led by Riikka Purra in April. It was a bitter defeat for Miss Marin, while she increased her party's seats and secured 19.9% of votes. Her coalition partners all lost significant numbers of seats. Her government has formally resigned but will continue serving on a caretaker basis until the formation of appointment of a new government. Mr. Orpo has said he hopes to conclude negotiations by June. Now, Ms. Marin has enjoyed a high polling throughout her time in office, with many praising her for steering Finland into NATO and navigating her country through the COVID-19. But she also is a polarizing figure in Finland, with headlines pertaining to her personal life surfacing in recent months. She has frequently been a target of criticism for her apparent loving of partying, most notably when a video of her at a party singing, dancing and drinking circulated on social media in August 2022. At the time, Ms. Marin said the video had been filmed on private premises and that she had spent an evening with friends. But the video prompted dozens of complaints alleging Ms. Marin's behavior undermined Finland's reputation and security. No more parties. No more parties. Wow. But a divorce. So now at times I do ask myself the question, there will be some people who might have lived together, or if here they call coexistence for the while. At times they be engaged for maybe years and years on end. The moment they get married, poof, then things just fall apart. I ask myself the question, what exactly seems to be going on? But what do you think about all that? Well. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. A final story from Hong Kong. The British son of a jailed Hong Kong media tycoon has denounced the hypocrisy of the UK government. Sebastian Lai and Britain have failed. Sebastian Lai said Britain had failed to sufficiently condemn the ongoing crackdown on dissent in Hong Kong. He pointed out that it had not called for the release of his father, Jimmy, also a UK citizen, and continues to trade with China. Now, last year, Jimmy Lai was jailed almost 6 years for fraud. He also faces national security charges. The 75-year-old tycoon, who founded the pro-democracy Apple Daily paper, is among the most prominent of the so-called Hong Kong 47 pro-democracy activists currently on trial for subversion. He may spend the rest of his life in prison if convicted. Well. This is the same thing that has happened to Nnamdi Kanu, and now there's a hearing here in the UK to see if the UK government failed to actually see to come in or actually chastise Nigeria for renditioning him. But you want to know more, you got to stay on, and Starr Radio UK will be bringing you more tomorrow, God willing. But for now, I will say thank you very much for tuning in. And this is a song from Ajay Bia, and it's a cover version of Papa Jackson's song Stay With Me. In tree saying Tina Minchain. When that song ends and you don't hear from me, it's me Archie saying have a top of the day and bye bye for now.
Starr Radio UK.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
I don't know, I